Whenever you baby daddy come here. Hi, everybody. Welcome to It's Sybil. I am Sybil Wilkes, and it's Damon and Sybil show today. How you doing,
Cool.
Damon Williams?
Doing great. Been running around all day and made it here with that much time to spare.
A second or two to spare, huh? Well, I appreciate your making time for us. What were you doing today?
My son's car needed to be picked up from way out in Bolingbrook at the shop,
Ooh.
and he lives near Inglewood. And then my mother had to pick her up because I bought her some furniture, and then when it came, and she picked it. We went through the whole process. She sat on it, everything. When it arrived, she didn't like it. So she wanted to go back and look at a replacement so we could send it back. But when we got there, she almost picked the identical piece that she already had.
Of course.
And I'm like, Mama, that's the same couch. She looks different here. You keeping that couch because it's already been delivered after waiting like 6 weeks. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah, and now I'm here.
Well, you're a good dad, son, and I know all around good guy. So good for you. But that's a lot of gas you were probably spending out today, huh?
Yeah, but it was time to. I don't get to see either one of them as much as I like, so I was glad to see them both and have them together so they can see each other.
Oh, that's even better. Who bought who
Yeah,
lunch?
I bought lunch
See,
for everybody.
that's
Yes,
awesome. That's
yeah.
awesome. Where'd y'all go for lunch? I'm really curious because I'm a little
See,
hungry.
my mother, when she has a taste for something, that's what we do. So she actually requested Popeye's chicken.
Really?
Yeah, because she don't fry food anymore. So she was like, you know what I want? I want some Popeyes. I was like, that's quick and easy.
So, Damon, this is really funny because I was in Chicago Friday night and Friday night only. I went through Chicago on my way to Atlanta. So I was stopping to get something to eat and I was going to go, go stand in line. And I was like, no, let me just run through. So I came off the Dan Ryan at the Popeyes, like on 76 in the Dan Ryan.
Yep.
So I went through there and she said, whatever you want, it's going to take a 20-minute wait because we don't prepare it until because it was late. It was like 11 o'clock, and so I was just glad it was before 11. I was just glad something was open for drive
Yeah,
through.
you were lucky to get it. But
I was.
it could be lunchtime at that Popeyes. It's always that's one of the only chicken places that runs out of chicken.
So Damon, that was it. So she said, and I said, I just really want like a piece of chicken and a biscuit, maybe some fries. We don't have fries. How about red beans and rice? Okay. What piece of chicken would you like? What do you have? And so she told me what they had because we don't have. I asked for tenders. We don't have tenders. We don't have this. We don't have this. We don't have this. I said, okay, I'll take a piece of chicken, and I think I got like a leg or a wing, and I said I like it spicy. We don't do spicy after 8 p.m. So
What? Who the hell eats mild Popeyes?
but they put a lot of the sparkles stuff in the bag so that I can make my own
Spice it
spicy.
yourself. And while you at it, come here and grab these biscuits out the oven.
And she said it's gonna take 20 minutes because we don't put anything on till somebody
It's made
orders
to
it.
order. Well, at
And
least
then,
it's fresh.
well, that's what I counted on, yeah. And
Yeah.
so, but it was just so funny to me, and I was like, times are I know it's hard to find to get all of the foodstuffs because of the supply chains. I know that, it's difficult finding good people. And she was lovely. She was real. I mean, the people inside there were really nice. But there was a group of us just lined up on the outside of the restaurant, waiting for them to bring our food out to us.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's the way of the world now.
I was just like, oh my gosh, who did I tell this to? And I knew you could appreciate it.
Let me tell you. Well, let me tell you what I went to a Dunkin' Donuts. Then we can move on. And the lady, I asked her for whatever, two chocolate donuts, two glazed, blah blah blah, some coffee. She said, "Well, you're gonna have to come back tomorrow if you want them donuts." I'm like, tomorrow? It was breakfast time. I'm like, huh? It's Dunkin' Donuts out of
Not
donuts
at
in the morning.
right 9 o'clock in the morning, right?
Crazy.
It is crazy. These are crazy times we're living in, my friend. And
But
that
we're
might
glad to
be
be living.
Exactly. That might be a question for us one day. Just what's the craziest thing you're finding out on the streets and in restaurants and what have you these days?
Yep.
All right, Damon. So we will continue our conversation. Young Cameron is not with us today, but we will take a second and talk about the What You Need to Know newsletter. This is, of course, our free newsletter, absolutely free, and which we seek to super serve the African American community. If you would like to subscribe, and we absolutely implore you, we ask you nicely and say, please, 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 uh, give us a try and subscribe to it. Give us your name, your email address, and we'll have it in your email box every Monday through Friday morning. And as I said, we learn from Tom Jordan, so we super serve and we give you the information as it applies for the most part to the African American community, but overall, giving you a picture of how we fit into these things. Damon, one of our features in today's newsletter is in our HBCU corner, and that is also the woman who is going to be our guest in another segment, What's Really Going On, and that's Dr. Rochelle Ford. She is the new president of Dillard University, just days away from her taking her place as the eighth president of Dillard University in New Orleans, Louisiana. So we look forward to that. All right,
Yes.
Damon, let's talk about the What You Need to Know newsletter. And even though Cameron is not here today, we will talk about his story. And this is so, as you were out and about today, did anybody have to go and vote in your group?
Yes. My mother, when I dropped her off, she was on her way to the polling place, and I voted before I went to get her.
Okay. This is voting day in a number of states. I like to say voting day. I know it's primary day, but the crazy
Primary voting. Hey.
primary voting day, right? It was years ago when Joe, the singer, came on the Tom Jordan Morning Show, and we asked him, as we asked everyone, "Are you registered to vote? And are you preparing to vote?" And he said, "When is voting day?" And so that always just stuck with me, and so I always like to talk about voting day.
I'm glad to hear the origin of that because that's not a symbolism.
No, it's not. But I absolutely adored it. I love him for it, and I kept it up. I kept it alive thanks to Joe. So this is voting day. Primary elections occurring in Colorado, New York, Oklahoma, Utah, and the state of Illinois. Now, one of the interesting things that I thought about was because we have been talking about Roe versus Wade and what this looks like, what will happen in our country, and what we can do about it. And one of my go-tos every single day is you've got to register and you've got to vote. And I think that registering to vote and being a part of the election process is really important, especially when you talk about the laws that are now in effect, the trigger laws that are waiting, just if they haven't taken place already in the wake of the constitutionality of Roe versus Wade being voted down. So, and the states, over half the states in this country, are now waiting to enact their anti-abortion laws. And this is how we control the narrative by electing people who are like-minded. And if you agree with the anti-choice, and if you agree with those who were in favor of getting rid of Roe versus Wade, you're great. You're really good. You're sitting in a great place right now. For those who don't agree with the removal of Roe versus Wade as a constitutional right, a lot of it started over 50 years ago, before Roe versus Wade was even brought before the United States Supreme Court and it was enacted. And this became a constitutional right. They have been working steadily through your state legislatures, through other organizations to come to this day. And so what we want to talk to people about on days like this, where you have a large swath of the population affected and going to the polls today, hopefully, even though midterm elections are not very sexy, they're not very popular. We want people to understand that you vote, and we're asking people to vote from the top down to the bottom. Take a time and educate yourself on the offices, on the amendments, all of the things that are on your election ballot, and especially when it comes to your state and local offices, because these are the things that affect you more so on a day-to-day basis than a lot of the federal offices, right?
Indeed.
Um, And so we talk about New York, and they have a big election, establishing a new governor. Perhaps the current governor is was the lieutenant governor, and she took over after Andrew Cuomo quit. He resigned over the summer, and Kathy Hochul is her name, and she is in a primary run as well as others on the Republican side. So we'll see what happens with that. Now, what Cameron chose to do in this particular story is talking about, you know, how exhausting it can be to go through your ballot and page after page after page, and kind of talks about some of the things. But what I want people to take with them is it's important, it's vital that we not only know what the subjects are, we know who the players are, but that we take the time to do our homework and to take the time to vote. And not just because the name sounds a certain way, but really know who these people are. Because, David, I don't know if you remember, but in the state of Illinois, we've had a couple of times where people's names sounded like, that sounds like a pretty good person. And it turned out to be, you know, somebody from was pretty close to neo-Nazism in their perspective in the primary, winning in the primary. So
you mess around and vote in racist Jenkins.
Right.
You know, you never expect a white Jenkins, but you mess around and don't do your homework, you'll have a racist Jenkins in office.
And it could happen. And he talks about a number of issues. He said on the ballot, you'll find the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District. And these are the people who have a lot to do with the infrastructure, dealing with water, of course. But these are all people that you may know, or Damon, especially in a city like Chicago, relationships are made with people in politics, with our precinct captains and what have you. And not only relationships made, jobs are part of that. And so please consider that as you are going to
Absolutely
vote.
There could be lots of patronage in those jobs, and it's, you know, above board. My father was head chemist. He was chemist 4 in water reclamation for like 36 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that was a great thing that we learned about your dad in getting to know him over the years from the Joyner Fantastic Voyage. Your father was an incredible man, and also was very well connected in the city of Chicago.
Yep, he had plugs. And the way things was going, he was have to go get some hair plugs.
You're so wrong. Well, so politics is not new to you. It's not new to me, and especially people in Chicago are pretty interested in it. But around the nation, we just want to continue to. If you're not happy with the way things happened last week or are happening as the decisions come out from the Supreme Court, you can play a part in all of this. And I believe that a part of it is being involved in politics, and especially starting out by registering and voting. Also wanted to talk about the date in a Russian court has been set for the trial to begin for Brittany Griner. The date is now set for Friday, July 1st, Damon.
Yeah, that's a rough one. You know, I I do a segment on Sam Silk's show, and Sam is out of Cleveland, but it's WZAK Cleveland.com. You can hear it nationwide. And he was saying about all the people that were coming out to Brittany's defense and trying to get her out. And I promise you, don't take this wrong, but did anybody ask Brittany if she really wanted to get out right away? I mean, you know, it's
so. David, let me ask you this: are things so bad at the house she'd rather be confined in a Russian prison?
well, I'm just saying, you know, she's same sex, so she might have been doing her thing in Russia. Have you seen the Russian hookers?
No, I have not. I don't know what they're bringing in there.
Just watch Taken. Any of the Taken.
That's true. Okay.
I know that's foul, but it was funny the way we did it. Not in this format, but because I have to do it different because I use more tact.
And it is funny. You're absolutely right.
But let's hope she gets out. Because they said she could be sentenced to like 10 years for this really, really petty, mediocre situation. It shouldn't even be considered. Time served should already be there, whether she's guilty or not.
Yeah. She's been in prison for over 4 months, and the timing is really interesting, Damon. She was arrested 1 week to the day before Russia invaded Ukraine. I don't think that was an accident. And as a result, I wouldn't be at all surprised. I don't know what her tastes were, but I wouldn't be at all surprised if perhaps she was set up in some way or another so that they could take her prisoner and then proceed with their invasion of Ukraine and kind of get distracted and perhaps have this be a distraction to the war. But as it is, she's been in for 4.5 months. She's going to go to trial, and here's the kicker: even if she's found not guilty, they can take her back to court.
Mm.
This is the legal system, if you want to call it that, and I put air quotes around it. It's amazing in that
Yeah,
country of Russia.
it's almost a farce. You know, it's a dictatorship, so it's not fair and just. Even though our justice system has major flaws, things like this would not happen to a foreign national that came to the U.S. But I mean, but we have our skeletons, and you know, we have Gitmo and things of that nature. But I think you're giving her too much credit. I don't think that the Russians even know that there's a WNBA. Hell, half the people in the U.S. don't watch WNBA. All right, I'm sorry. Let's
Hello,
go.
hello, Chicago Sky, big fan.
World champs.
Exactly, exactly. You're so wrong. But they know enough to pay them very well and pay them more than what they get paid here. And
Absolutely.
that's
Yeah,
why teams outside of this country are so attractive to members of the WNBA because that's where they go to make their money in the off season.
indeed. And that this says it shows that there should be some wage equity in sports as well, because we know that even in amateur athletics, the women are treated differently and as a subculture or
Yeah.
subclass to the male athletes, even in the Olympics and such. So we must do better, and we are going to pray for Brittany to get out. But I hope she had a few wild parties while she was in there.
You know what? I hadn't even thought about that aspect of Brittany being entertained while in jail. I just had, dark, dank,
She,
whole, all of
she's a novelty. She's the tallest. She the big man on campus. She is, she's a star, and and they don't have there ain't no blacks, so they probably fighting over Brittany in there.
it.
Okay, I'm
Not,
sorry. Let's keep going.
David, not the big man on campus.
Well, that was not intentional. That's just the saying. There's no big woman on campus state, known saying. So that was a Freudian slip.
So one other story we have in the newsletter by our social justice writer, Corey Malone, she talks about the Michigan Police Department, the shooting targets that you have when you're going for shooting practice in the
Hmm.
police department or whatever, and those figures that you shoot at.
Right.
Somebody complained that they were all black figures at the Farmington Hills Police Department in the state of Michigan. And somebody complained they were visiting, they saw this, and the Farmington Hills, Michigan Police Department said that's not true. But people were in their feelings about the fact that the character, the figures that they shoot at were all black, and they said that's not true. They have they have them in various shades, and
Yeah.
so
And psychologically, that should not be the case because it already has a predisposed subconscious
and that's what she said.
idea of shooting at black targets.
Yep, that's exactly what she said. And we also want to remind people that even though school is out for the summer, we still need to feed our children who are having to go without meals that they would normally get during the school year. And families are bracing for changes as the pandemic, of course, continues for a lot of them, and as well as inflation. And let's find a way to feed our children and get those meals to them that schools were providing, and in some cases are still providing this summer. But let's stay on the case there. I think that is absolutely important. And lastly, check out the 2022 business tax tips from our CPA, Katrina M. Kraft, and that is all in our newsletter.
Fantastic. Did you happen to see the shade room where somebody posted maybe TMZ where the young lady, the man was bringing food. It was just for his son, but she had 3 other kids.
I didn't see that.
And everybody was saying, is he wrong for that? Because he only brought food for his child. But it's a big topic. We'll talk about it when I come back next Tuesday.
Okay, okay, for sure. I would love to hear that. And that's like, when you take your kids somewhere and their friends don't have it, or they don't have the money to go or do, and so what do the parents do? Just let them sit on the outside? I don't think so. And just kind of look in. I would love for us to think that we are sharing with people as well. All right.
Indeed. But check my Instagram and see
Okay.
how that went down.
Okay. Okay. We'll absolutely do it, and we'll talk about it the
Uh,
next time we're together. All right.
Okay.
Let's find out what's really going on. And now we move to our very special guest, Dr. Rochelle Ford. She is the incoming president of Dillard University, and she has a great story to tell, as well as, I'm sure, great plans for a wonderful university and stepping into some really big shoes there. Welcome, Dr. Rochelle Ford. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you today?
Oh, we're so happy to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us. If I can just give people a little of what happens before the show goes on, we had some noises, and uh, my executive producer Yolanda Starks White said, "Do I hear birds?" And are you settled in your new home?
No, not yet. I will arrive in New Orleans on June 30th, start
Okay.
July 1, but right now I am vacationing in Hawaii. So
Oh,
if you hear birds, they are tropical birds. And if you
and
hear chickens, chickens are all over this island, both in Oahu and in the island of Kauai, where I am right now.
you're on the garden aisle there. So that was so
With
funny. And
chickens, that they heard you talking about Popeyes earlier. So if they come start attacking me, just know that they heard you and they might be fighting for their cousin's rights.
and Dr. Ford, you also mentioned that you didn't want the chickens to know that you will eat their cousins too.
Well, yes, yes. I didn't want them to know that either. But I do like chicken. I like Popeye's chicken, in fact, too. So
Okay, okay.
hopefully I will not have to wait for them to give me whatever is left over without the spicy
My goodness, what a night
pieces.
I had. What a night of travel I had. I'm telling you, Dr. Ford. But I think that your journey is going to be an excellent one. Mine was just trying to get home to Chicago for a minute. But I think that your journey is really admirable. And I want you to tell people your story, as well as to talk about the plans that you have for Dillard University. You are a second generation HBCU graduate, correct?
I am. Both my mother and father attended Morgan State University. My mother's a nurse, which Dillard is known for nursing as a legacy program. And my father studied physics, and that's another amazing program that Dillard offers. And I was lucky to be able to go to an HBCU as well there in Washington, D.C.
You went to the
But
real HU.
com- the original Howard University, I did. So it was founded as a university, but Dillard is the first historically black college in Louisiana,
Yeah.
and the legacy there is amazing. And the opportunity to be able to come alongside the faculty and staff and the alumni to really uplift our community and to really help students to really uplift others through high ethical standards and high standards of their own self is what we're hoping to continue to do.
Well, as I said, you are taking over a university, and you will begin on the first. But I got to tell you, we had a wonderful relationship through the Tom Joyner Foundation with the former President Kimbrough, and look forward to
Absolutely.
maintaining that relationship with you at Dillard. It is quite an incredible university, and I don't think they could have a better person to take over to follow in Mr. Kimbrough's lead. But also the fact that you have made so many different stops in your educational
Mhm.
journey, and so what do you expect to bring to the campus there in New Orleans?
Well, I think that bringing to the campus is a level of optimism. I've seen how wonderful universities are operated and to be able to bring best practices and innovative ideas and how we can take something that is good and make it even better. And even when we face challenges, which we will do, I think that we can come up with amazing solutions that will improve our community. And
Mm.
that's kind of what I've always tried to do in my career. I'm a curious person. I'm a curiosity, and that's why I became a journalist. I wanted to ask questions. I wanted to learn about other people. So I really want to learn about the experiences of our students, our alumni, our staff and faculty, and the greater New Orleans community. And then how can Dillard partner with different organizations like the Tom Shorter, Foundation and Show, and with Usable, how can we partner with others to continue to uplift our communities? And what can we do to help people to be able to bring their whole selves
Yeah.
to work and in each situation? And that's what I've tried to fight for in my career, both in corporate communications and higher ed, public relations and journalism, is fighting for diversity, equity, and inclusion, because there's so many challenges that we face, particularly as Black women and other people of color. And we need to not beg, but demand our place at the table,
Amen.
because there's
And not have to
value.
bring our
It,
chair along with us, right?
exactly, because we do belong and we are skilled. And guess what? Dillard has amazing talent. And people keep saying they can't find talent. Well, I'm here to say they need to fish where the fish are, and Dillard is an amazing pond to fish in. So I want folks to partner with us, so that we can really, really help solve some of society's great problems and take advantage of amazing opportunities.
I think that you have an amazing campus there, and I love the fact that you are engaged and have been in your career, and especially as a journalist. But this is an interesting time to be on a college
Mhm.
campus, to be in New Orleans, to be at an
Mhm.
HBCU, and there's just so many different things. Um, you like a challenge, apparently.
Absolutely. Never run away from a challenge. One of my former colleagues said, a lot of people see a fire and they run the other way. You're like, fire, I got a bucket of water. Let's go. And so I'm running in. I am an official firefighter. But you know what? Dillard is not on fire. In fact, we have energy that
Mm,
can ignite the world, and to really to make it better. And I think that that's what we're trying to do, because oftentimes Black identifying students, particularly in the political context now, like, people
mhm,
don't want us to learn about our past. Dillard
right.
is a place, it is a safe place where students can come and learn about their past, learn about the history, the struggles, how we've overcome situation, and then be encouraged to
Mhm.
be in the present and solve what we're dealing with now, and to be able to think forward on how we're going to make progress, and do so without fear,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Because so many students now aren't, and faculty aren't even allowed to talk about these things.
Right.
And Dillard is that safe place where you can, we will, and we will continue to, because our voices and our perspectives, they're needed. They're really needed.
And you come from Howard. That was you were at
Mhm.
Howard for many years,
Yeah.
and a great deal of activism in Washington D.C. on the campus of Howard. Damon and I come from Chicago. Damon's son is a great activist in the city of Chicago, and now you are in that campus life of Dillard, where activism has been encouraged. So it shouldn't be
Mhm.
a difficult change for you, but certainly as things are changing. Just talking this week, we are a lot of our conversation is about Roe versus Wade. Is that going to be
Mhm.
some of the Supreme Court decisions that have come down, and is that going to be a part of you think the discussion, especially with your young women and young men on campus?
Absolutely. I think Dillard has always been part of our conversation. We actually have a minority health and health disparities research center.
Mm,
And so we have always been advocating for health and wellness within our community, particularly maternal health issues, because as you know, after people in the Black diaspora, our risk
yeah,
of being able to deliver a healthy baby,
right.
we are a much higher risk category. And so we have been dedicated to looking at issues of health disparities. And we're going to continue to do that and advocate for that. I'm really been pleased looking at it from a public policy perspective. Dr. Robert Collins is one of our professors of urban studies and public policy, and he has been helping those in the state in Louisiana to understand the trigger law that just happened, but also to understand the court injunction that has stopped that from taking place, at least initially, and what does that mean, and also to understand the opinion, the additional words that Clarence Thomas issued, and that this is not just now about abortion rights, but it's about all of our rights.
That's
because
right.
if you take that to the extreme, we're talking about birth control, we're talking about same-sex marriage, we're talking about a whole host of other issues.
Everything but interracial marriage.
Yeah, I wasn't going to state that, but yeah, his marriage might end up being dissolved in the state of Virginia. But on a serious note, we have to be aware of repercussions. And that's one of the things that we are going to continue to make people think critically. And how do we communicate with precision so that folks are not hoodwinked to believe that this is just a singular issue, so that we are on alert. And a lot of times people try to pit faith traditions and things against each other. But one of the things that I love about our two sponsoring church organizations, United Methodist Church and United Church of Christ, they have stated very clearly that they value women's rights, and they recognize the importance of ministries that support women in their reproductive health choices. But also, they both have stated the importance of men's voices and roles, and that if a woman chooses to have a baby, that is also the men's responsibility. And if a woman chooses not to continue, it's also the man's responsibility. So when we are looking at this issue, we're talking about people's mental, physical, and spiritual health. It's all tied up into that. And so we need to advocate for all of health and awareness, both for the women and for their partners as well.
That's right. I love that. I absolutely bringing and making it a full circle of opportunities as well as community and conversation. Damon, I don't know about you, but I'm kind of looking forward to going down to Dillard and seeing what Dr. Ford is going to bring. And Dr. Ford, if I may, we have some great comedians here who would be a great part of the conversation, and who are active as well as very funny people when you guys do your homecomings and things like that. If I may just make a suggestion.
Absolutely.
My friend here, Damon Williams, and others.
I've actually performed at Dillard's campus years ago, and it was a wonderful occasion. And in fact, it was a lot of years ago. And this one particular beautiful young lady comes to mind. But anyway, I'm not sure I'm relatable to the kids, but homecoming, yeah, let's do that.
We can do homecoming. You can do homecoming. So make sure that you make a trip down to see us. We would love to host you. And hey, we've got a communications program. So if you need interns, we've got interns for you in mass communication and all of that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that we're gonna have a great partnership here, Dr. Ford, because you're talking our language. We have a great check-in and check-up for your health program, which is Tom Joyner's Take a Loved One to the Doctor 2.0, as well as continuing our affiliation with HBCUs. And I love the idea of working with the young students at Dillard. If you were to ask your former students there in North Carolina or other places where you have taught, what's the best thing that they can say that you're going to bring to your job, to your office, about you that you're going to bring?
That's a great question. I think that they would say that I really invest in people and build our community. My students would tell me I'm a tough cookie. Right, because I demand excellence and accountability, because I believe that when you are given much is expected of you. So I want people to walk in excellence, right? But at the same time, we're doing that so that we can truly build community and that we can make a difference. So I'm going to do everything I possibly can to create an environment where students can excel, where faculty can ask the tough questions and push knowledge and information, and where staff can really thrive and create a livelihood for their families. So it's about building that community where people can really excel and make a difference. But I'm going to be tough. That's what people have had my class. They said she marked up their papers like they didn't know they had writing left on the paper. But on the other hand, I think that they'll find fairness and they'll find a passion, a caring passion to build community.
That is awesome. I have one more request for you and your
Sure.
students that we're going to bring on as interns. If you would sign up for our newsletter, if you go to sybylwilkes.com and sign up for the What You Need to Know newsletter. And as a matter of fact, today you are featured in our HBCU corner. And I ask you to folks who do, and if you have not seen it, to take a look at it. And we are so pleased and happy for you. And would just absolutely love to continue the relationship we have had with Dillard University. And I'm excited. I am so excited to see this beautiful woman and talented and with such full of enthusiasm and grace taking over this position as the next president of Dillard University. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for featuring us. And we will absolutely promote the newsletter, and we look forward to partnering with you.
Thank you so much, and good luck. I think the students and the faculty there, the community of New Orleans is going to be the luckiest bunch of people around. So congratulations.
Thank you again. Have a great rest of your day. Night.
And if I may say,
That's
aloha.
right.
That's right. That's right.
Aloha.
She's in my
Mahalo.
favorite
Thank
place.
you.
She's in my favorite place in all the world, Damon.
Is she?
Yes,
Oh, wow.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is
So
that,
was
look, Huggy would say that's Santorini. I
yeah.
never asked you what was the basis of that, but I always know he refers to you as Santorini Sunshine.
So one of the trips that Tom Jordan took us on was to Greece, and
Right.
we were on, and so I took all these pictures of Huggy, and I've never printed them or put them taken. They're still in a card in my camera, and so he would always say, well, "Come on, my little Santorini sunshine, give us the pictures. Come on," and so he knows I love an alliteration. So
Yes.
so she's Huggy Santorini sunshine, and that was one of the great islands where Tom took us when we went to Greece a few years ago.
And that answer is so less climactic than I
I
thought
know.
it would be.
I know. I know.
Because
I know.
the movie Harlem Nights is sunshine.
Exactly. But I'll also say,
Santorini.
I will say, Damon, that what happens in Greece stays in Santorini. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
I'm glad you didn't say what happens in Greece stays in Greece, because that could have been two different words.
Exactly.
Greece
But,
and Greece.
but it could have been a good time. All right, Damon.
All right.
Let's talk about our trending topics. Let's talk about what's going on. And this was another horrific story to come out of Texas. Two Mexican nationals have been charged in U.S. federal court in connection with a deadly smuggling attempt in which over 50 people have now died after being trapped inside a tractor-trailer truck in San Antonio, Texas. The two Mexican defendants arrested following Monday's situation were charged with possessing firearms while in the United States illegally, but police were called to a scene Monday in which I think it was over 60 people were found inside this trailer truck. Most of them were dead. Some have survived. And this happened to find the deceased migrants. Some 40 men and 12 women were discovered on the outskirts of San Antonio, where temperatures swelled to a high of 103 degrees. And they were in this, one of the most deadliest forms of trafficking, human trafficking. And they were called next to a railroad track with bodies inside the vehicle and strewn over a couple of blocks and tracks. They were inside the vehicle. The rear door of the trailer had finally been opened, and the law enforcement officers said that there were no signs of water, no visible working air conditioning inside the truck. They were just parked by a railroad track, stacks of bodies, and some of the migrants were too hot to the touch. It's awful. And the governor, who is being held to account for the murders of 19 school children and two teachers, should also be held accountable for this because of the border situation. But of course, he chose to point the finger of blame at President Biden. It's going to be interesting to see how this all works out, or if it, but at the expense of all of this are all of these lives. And whoever did this, and if these men were the ones that did it, whoever did this, they should be held to the highest degree of the law.
Yeah, that's one of the most unfortunate things you could hear, and it's a terrible way to perish, especially when you're seeking a better life for yourself and
Hmm.
your families, and this is the outcome. And chances are those people scraped and saved money
Right.
to be smuggled, as we call it. That's just it's a terrible story all the way around. And I hope everyone involved is, like you say, brought to justice for that, because when I heard it, it made me sick.
Yeah, it is. It really absolutely is. It's a disgusting way to live and to have their lives come to an end.
And it's
Um,
the I guess say the dichotomy of life, because we clamor to go to Mexico. Everybody is flossing on their way to Mexico, going to Mexico, and these people are over there impoverished and trying to get out of Mexico. And that,
mm,
you know, that right there, in a sense, just
yeah,
it's mind boggling for me on how the world works and how situations are. Most of the places we go for vacation and leisure are paradise, and the
right.
people, indigenous people, are usually struggling there. So yes, it's a big bad ball of wax, actually.
The state of Texas is just it's not a good place to be these days, but things are going to change because we are going to the polls and we're going to make some changes in in this state as well as throughout the country. This was something in the city of Atlanta. They've had a number of shootings, and one of the shootings involved the manager of Ludacris. Did you see this in Atlanta?
Yeah, Shaka Zulu, I think he goes
Shaka
by.
Sulu, yeah,
Yeah.
is his professional name. They confirmed one of the two men injured in the shooting was Shaka Zulu, the longtime manager of the rapper and actor Ludacris. The conditions of Shaka Zulu and the other man not released, and people may have an update on that. But one man was killed. Shaka Zulu was one of the two injured in a parking lot shooting in an upscale neighborhood north of downtown Atlanta. This happened Sunday night. They were all taken to hospitals, and as I said, one was pronounced dead, and the Fulton County Examiner's Office has identified that person. And the police are investigating the shooting early Monday morning hours as well. And they said that there was a result of a dispute in a parking lot. Now, the craziest and most distressing shooting took place over the weekend. This was Sunday at a Subway shop, Damon. And I thought about you simply as a man who used to be affiliated with Subway. You don't think of anyone coming to a Subway and being upset with the service because what they said was the man was upset because there was too much mayonnaise on his sandwich. He became angry, went outside the store, shot back inside, killing one person and wounding another, two young women, killing one young woman and wounding the other because of the claim that there was too much mayonnaise on the sandwich.
And that's psychotic, because being a Subway owner, being a person who has prepared sandwiches at Subway, the patron actually makes the sandwich. We're just the vehicle in which. So if
Right.
you watch them
It's
put the
true.
mayo on and you say, "Hey, that's too much
That's
mayo,"
enough.
and they start over or they scrape it off, you don't get outside in the parking lot and turn around and decide that this is too much mayo, or even be upset the fact that they did it. And there's no explanation for that whatsoever, regardless. But how the hell do you get too much mayo when you watch me make the sandwich in front of you?
Damon, I forgot about that part, but you're absolutely right. That's so
You
that's
say, "I want lettuce, I want pickles, more pickles, less pickles. I want." I'm basically a puppet
Following your, yeah,
when
following
I make your
orders.
Subway. It's
That's
like,
right.
is that enough? Not enough. How the hell do you get to the conclusion that I put too much mayo on your sandwich without saying that before I wrap the sandwich up? It's bananas.
I go in for a tuna salad. I know we're not sure it's tuna, but I go in for the tuna salad. And I used to like when they would chop it. Now they don't do that so much anymore, but they know that I like the pepper jack cheese. They know how much, and so on and so forth. More banana peppers. All of, you're absolutely right. That
You are
doesn't.
making the damn sandwich. How did
Yeah.
you tell them to put too much mayo on your sandwich? That's just these guns. I mean, it all boils down to the availability of guns and ammunition.
Yep.
Because if you're an idiot and you don't have a gun, then you might throw a brick through the window. Everybody
Right.
lives.
Right. You're
But you
absolutely.
made the damn sandwich, man.
And you're not making sense now with that ridiculous excuse. I am sorry to say that Serena Williams' return to Wimbledon has ended. She lost in the first set of her effort to return to Wimbledon, the first round match, and against a young woman who is 24, and Serena is now 40. And time as well as injuries has not been her friend. And so she lost her first round match against the world's 115th ranked player, a
Yee.
young woman from France.
Uh,
She outlasted her for a dramatic 7-5, 1-6, 7-6 victory. And it was a long match, 3 hours and 10 minutes.
that would be like a one-on-one with 40-year-old Jordan and somebody like Judd Bushler.
Not Judd Bushler! What?
That'd be like Jordan lost to who? Judd Bushler, man. In a
Damon,
one-on-one.
Damon, that is hilarious.
It's time to hang it up, though. She's had an illustrious career, and who knows what she's capable of doing because we don't know the drive and determination
Right.
of elite athletes. But drive and determination only take you so far. Time is undefeated, and at 40, and accomplished, it might just be time.
Yeah, she took the card to enter this race, to enter this match, and did not go well. And so now the attention turns to whether she will come home to the States and whether she will continue her comeback in the U.S. Open, which of course is Labor Day weekend, around Labor Day weekend. But it was a sad goodbye for a lot of folks who were hoping, and I was one of them, hoping that she would make that comeback. But she's given us so much.
She has. She's exceeded anyone's expectations. She even superseded or excelled beyond her championship sister.
Hmm.
She's the greatest tennis champion ever, and to be able to do it with that wagon she's dragging has already been a phenomenon. So let's call it a wrap, and let's look back and rest on your laurels, and God bless her.
I hadn't thought of it as a wagon she's dragging, but she does a pretty good job taking it
She's
across the court.
she does not have a prototypical tennis body. So
Oh, okay. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, absolutely,
And them
absolutely.
grunts. Ah!
Oh my, does,
Ah!
so let me ask
Ah!
you, as a man, does that do something for you?
No, but Dion Cole said he used to just turn up the sound and do the rest himself. Ah! Ah! Ah!
Too funny. You're
But I
too
do know
funny.
it scared the hell out of the opponents.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
It was a very intimidating screech.
and between her and I think it was Maria Sharapova, it was Venus and Maria Sharapova, the two names that come to mind immediately with the grunts and the noises that they
Yeah.
would make, and a lot of men, it was a turn on.
Yeah. Especially when she wore the bodysuit. Ah!
Okay.
Ah! That was the men at home. Ah!
And the wives walking out of the room. Yeah.
Humph. Since when you like tennis? I've been with you 26 years, Harold. I ain't never seen you watch a tennis match.
Ever
Now,
since the Williams girls. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
As soon as the bodysuit pop out, you an avid tennis watcher. Talk about 40 love.
Oh, Damon, you have made me laugh today. I so needed this. Thank you so much. And so now with this, Damon, let's talk a little entertainment. If that wasn't enough, in entertaining the crowds, Oprah had a meeting with Harry and Meghan, with the former Duke and Duchess. And so the question now is, in our entertainment section, is another bombshell interview in the offing. Prince Harry
Mm.
and Meghan Markle were spotted visiting Oprah at her Montecito, California
A
home.
state.
Yeah, exactly. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex spent about an hour at her $100 million estate. According to reports, they got photos of the couple en route in a black Range Rover. That's the company, that's the country car.
Right.
Harry and um, Meghan are close friends with Oprah Winfrey, drove from their nearby $14.7 million mansion with the prince behind the wheel. And the wifey was sitting in the back looking fresh faced, chatting with a friend who appeared to be in the car with them. And they say that they couldn't tell whether the kids were with them or not, but they did go to Auntie Oprah's house. And it is not known whether their visit to her estate was for business or pleasure. And folks are asking, is there going to be another? Because now that they've gone home, or Harry went home, and for the Queen's 70th anniversary on the throne, and the kind of treatment that they received was not as favorable, I think, as they had hoped. And so now they're wondering maybe if another conversation is going to be had with Oprah regarding that trip and what is going to happen for them now, especially as the Queen is damn near close to 100. And with Harry's father set to take over finally at 70 plus years of age, take over the kingship. What's going to happen to them? But I mean, they're not going to be starving, and they're not going to have to live in Oprah's, cottage out back.
Yeah, well, I don't know this to be true, but I heard Harry said when he pulled up that this is a nice little cottage she has here. It's a quaint little cottage she has here.
Quaint. If we ever get
Let me look. Let me name drop. Let me check with Gail. Let me text Gail and find out what happened when they was out there. Because yes, I have the number ever since I did
was it
the
Caroline?
defunct Wendy Williams show. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Gail is my buddy. We text all the time.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
Yeah,
tell
let me
her.
check with my good friend Gail, as Oprah likes to say.
Okay, your bestie.
Yeah, that's my homie. She coming to the vineyard this year.
Oh, awesome. Okay, so
Yeah.
quickly, let's talk about that. When does that happen?
August 1st through the 19th, and we have a special night with Sherry Shepherd on August 13th, the Saturday. We typically don't do weekends, we do
Mhm.
weeknights, but that Saturday the 13th, Sherry Shepherd. So of course I got a text from Kim Whitley,
Of course.
who was there last
summer.
year,
Mhm.
yeah, and said, "Oh, a night with Sherry Shepherd, huh?"
Oh.
She did the whole week, but Sherry gets a night with Sherry Shepherd. But that's actually thanks to our corporate sponsor, and it's a special event brought to us by Hyatt, our good people at Hyatt. So that's going to be fun. But yeah, I'm going to check in with Gail. I'll get you the scoop. Maybe you'll be able to announce something tomorrow.
I love that. I love that. I love that you and Gail are like this now.
Yeah, bam, buddies.
David, I think that you are such a brilliant comedian, and I love the fact that people are appreciating you even more and more by the day. And I got to tell you, I was thinking about what we've been talking about, the tribute to Tom, and what a part you played in my life, because I remember those days, early days, at those clubs when Babes and Company and others of us from the old Doug Banks show
Oh
were
yeah.
there with you. So I'm very proud of you, and I'm really honored that you are joining us here on a regular basis.
And I'm so glad you asked me, and I wasn't just behind the glass.
Never.
Yeah, it's dope. I'm looking forward to speaking to Thomas, saluting him later in July. with the Isaac Brothers and OJ's farewell tour, and Tom is coming to Chicagoland. Our city of Chicago is giving him his flowers for real this time, and it's going to be a major event July 21st and 22nd at the Erie Crown Theater. So, and I'm going to be hosting on the 22nd, so that'll be dope. I'm actually getting off Festival at Sea, the cruise we do, early in Aruba to fly home, so I could be here for the fly job.
That's awesome.
I'm the fly comic on that week.
Okay. Okay. All
Yes.
right. All right, Damon. Thank you so much for a great show. And I want to end with our daily inspiration.
And before you do that, thank you, Yogi, because Yogi is the first person. She saw me in a play with Thea Vidal and Howard Hewitt, and she said I was funny and I had a bright future. And she told Tom, and I got a chance to come in and do the live broadcast at the Sky Show with the cast. And it all comes full circle. Look at us now, kicking. Me, you, Yogi, Gail, we all people.
I love that. Look at you bringing
Thank you, though. I appreciate it.
180 degrees there. And so everybody, we want to leave you with this. There's a time for everything, a time to cry and a time to laugh. We have had a good laughing time today. Thanks to our friend, Damon Williams. Thanks so much, my friend. And we will see you all again soon. Be well. Bye-bye.